Hello and welcome back to a review of my channel, MathScore.exe. Today we're going to look at a simple combinatorics, or in other words, we're going to talk about the additive and multiplicative rule in combinatorics, or more specifically counting the number of ways or the number of total ways that a certain event could happen, and when we can use these rules and how we can differ between them. So I hope you enjoy this video. Thank you. Alright, so let's assume that a person wants to go to a shopping mall and he saws three different roads A, B, and C. And from road A, there are three leading roads going to the shopping mall, and from road B, there are two roads, and from road C, there will be four roads. How many possible routes can he take to go to the shopping mall? Well, that's pretty simple. We can just add the number of roads up. That would be 9. But is there a reason why should we do this? Well, it's because that we are using the additive rule in combinatorics or counting in general. So this rule is often used if there's a certain event happening, or assume that that person chooses this route right here. And then there's a secondary event. Let's assume that the same person chooses this route, and those first and second events could not happen at the same time, or they could not happen inside each other. And this makes sense, right? Because if this person chooses this route, and then how come that person could go in a different route right here? So that is when we use the additive law. And for the demonstration for when we use the multiplicative rule in combinatorics, well, let's just assume the 2 dice problem from example 2 in my previous video. So we have 2 dice A and B, and then we want to find how many total combinations that we can make from 2 of these dice. Right. So the way we did that on our last video is that we can set dice A to show a number of 1, and then we can set B to be any number from 1 to 6, so we're left with 6 possible ways. And without realizing in that video, we actually used the multiplicative rule, because the conditions of using the multiplicative rule is that if we have a first event happening, which is dice A, and then we have a second event on dice B, and then those both events could happen at the same time, or they could happen inside them. And this makes sense because if we set dice A to be 1, well, dice B could be anything because there's no other criteria or conditions that would limit this possibility. So yeah, another way to get our answer in our previous example on example 2 is that we can just multiply the number of ways or the total number of ways that each dice could show a number. So dice A could show any number from 1 to 6, that will be 6 ways, and dice B could show any number from 1 to 6, that will be also 6 ways. And then we can multiply this by the multiplicative rule in combinatorics. That will be 36 total ways. And this also works if we have a third dice C. We can then also multiply this together to get 216 ways. And the way that we can do this is, or maybe we can realize that we must use the multiplicative rule, is that can just do this thing that we did on example 2. So let's just say we set dice A to be 1, dice B to be 1, and dice C to be any number from 1 to 6. And then we can just change these parameters from 1 to 2. So yeah, that is also another way to get all these combinations. But a more effective way is to kind of like test if those events could happen in the same time or not. and then we can decide which rule to use, and then we can find the total number of combinations or ways easily. So I hope this makes clear for everything.